All right, welcome back. This is Joe and Kevin McGonigal with DDS Match with another probably riveting episode of Around the Block.
It's a night game. We're about to play a night game.
Yeah. Sun is setting on us, and actually today we are headed to a client meeting. So it's not really around the corner. It's more on our way to North Jersey. So today we're going to talk about, we're heading into the end of 2024. And we thought it might be helpful if we did a little segment on everybody's favorite topic, New Year's resolutions.
Okay.
Not maybe you're going to work out more or eat healthier. We're assuming everybody's going to do that. We are talking specifically about New Year's resolutions you could think about if you believe that 2025 or 2026 even are a year where you're going to consider a practice transition.
All right.
So, Kev, we've identified, I don't know, 3 or 4 things maybe that would be on our list. So I'll let you take the first one.
I think first off is get out a P&L, schedule a meeting with your CPA. This might be the most important one. It's going to set the foundation for the marketability of your practice, the value of the practice, and helping us tell a story to prospective buyers. So it's a good idea to get out your P&L, meet with a CPA, and make sure that everything is in the correct buckets, that everything lines up, the practice reports match up with your P&L, and even just that you have a consistent P&L. This is something that you're going to need for the sale process. So getting straight with that and get everything cleaned up is certainly at the top of the list.
I would agree with that. Number 2, contracts. Practices generally have a few vendors that they are in a contract with. These are, when we're talking about a contract, we're talking about an agreement with a vendor that you cannot cancel with 30 days notice. If you can cancel with 30 days notice, that's not a contract. But for items that are not, where do we see these? If you use Stericycle, that's probably a contract, a 1, 2, or 3 year contract. Website hosting, IT support. There aren't too many of these in practices anymore, but there are always some. And it's a really good idea that if you have any, I would suggest 2 things. Have an actual copy of the contract you signed. Because what happens in a sale is we want the buyer to assume these contracts. You have an obligation for another 9 months post-closing. We'd like the buyer to take that contract over, and this way you're no longer liable for it. In order to get them to agree to do that, we have to provide the actual contract so they can read it and see what is it you've agreed to, when are the renewal periods, what are the termination, what are the rules around termination. So get the actual contract and have a list of services you're in contract with, and probably even more importantly, if there is a renewal coming up, approach that a little cautiously. Do you have to renew for an entire year, or can you now go month to month? Ideally, you would go month to month.
This does sound a little bit like exercise and working out, I have to admit. A third one on the list is to get out your lease. If you are renting your space, leases and landlords come up in every deal, and it's important to understand where you are in your lease. Is it a renewal year? Is there anything that we need to get cleaned up in there, whether it's the assignability of the lease or even just the rate? If it's a renewal year and you haven't really dug into the market rate rent for your space, this could be a good time to engage with a professional who can help evaluate your lease and possibly renegotiate that as you move forward into this transition period.
I got one last one. Okay, we're running out of time here. But one more would be, if you have long-term employees and some of your benefits or bonus programs are a little, looser. They're not clearly defined. Susan gets this, but Kelly gets that. This is a great opportunity to try to formalize that and tighten that up a little bit, because the assumption is a buyer is going to have to assume these. And if these aren't really written down, they're not formal, it's a lot harder, when buyers look at this, to understand what is it I'm committing to and for how long. And, if everybody gets something slightly different, it is a little trickier. It's not unmanageable, but it is definitely trickier.
So yes, resolutions are always tough. 2025 is a mid-decade year. So listen, we'll give you all the reasons to start and to make sure that you get the second half of the 2020s off to the right start. Meet with your CPA, get out your lease and make sure that that's squared away. Check your vendor contracts and make sure that your team is all set and squared away, and should be
And definitely eat healthier.
yeah. Stop drinking too.
We'll see you next time.
All right. Have a good one.